When I first came to Spain, I was a young man. This was like a third world country. In my lifetime, Spain it's been like a tree that blossoms. Slowly, all the leaves have come out and the blossoms have come out, and now it's a modern country, it's prosperous, and it has great traditions.
Mr. Follett, you are much more handsome in person than in a sculpture.
Thank you. So you've seen that statue
Yeah.
in Vitoria.
Yeah, I gave him a hug when I saw. Is the life-size sculpture of you that we have in Vitoria still the only sculpture of Ken Follett in the world?
Oh yes.
Yes.
I'm sure it'll be the only one for many years to come.
Yeah. You have to improve your literature to get more sculptures in the world.
Yes.
Yeah. You started reading in a way thanks to religion. Your parents, who were very religious, forbade you to watch TV and listen to the radio. So you started reading. What memories do you have of that childhood?
Well, I could never have enough books. And you know, my parents were not poor, but they were a young couple in the early 50s, and they didn't have nobody had much money in Britain in the early 50s. I was born in 1949. So I never had enough books until when I was 7 years old. They took me to the public library. And I joined the public library, and it was like Christmas every week. Every week I could go to the library and have any books that I wanted. And I said, you mean I can borrow one of these books? They said, you can borrow two. It was incredible. And without that, I don't think I could have been a reader, because to be a writer, I don't think I could have been a writer without that public library, because you can't be a writer unless you've read a lot. By the time I got to the age of 20, I had read hundreds of novels. And that's how I knew what to do when I wrote my first novel. And sometimes, if some young person says to me, I'd like to be a writer, what do I need to do? I always say, do you read much? And if they say no, not much, I say, I don't think you can be a writer.
After the economic crisis around 2010, extreme left-wing populism emerged in Greece, in Spain. With the migration crisis, extreme right-wing populisms are now emerging. This phenomenon, the fragility of freedom, is very important to you in your writing.
Yeah.
Both when you deal with the Middle Ages and when you deal with the century, with the
20th
the 20th century.
Yes, it's very important to me. First of all, I studied this because I wanted to know how we became free. How did we do that? How did we move away from killing one another about religion, which we did in the 16th and 17th century, to a point where nobody cares whether you're Protestant or Catholic? How did we win that freedom to be any religion we want? And it's the same, you know, how did working class people win the vote? How did women win the vote? All these struggles for freedom fascinate me. But I used to think these freedoms were with us forever. I thought nobody's going to go back on democracy. I was wrong, wasn't I? People are beginning to go back on democracy. In Turkey, people voted to lose their freedom. You know, Erdogan in Turkey told everybody what he was going to do. He wasn't going to be a democratic leader. And they voted for him anyway. Same thing with Trump. He's told everybody what he's going to do. None of it's democratic. And they voted for him. I find that very difficult to understand, because I always assumed I would have my freedom forever. And so would my children and grandchildren. Now I don't know.
Spain and the UK are today the two large nations on the old continent that are led by left-wing governments. In Germany, this coalition has just been broken up, and in the other countries, with the centrist exception of France, there is a shift to the right. What is wrong with social democracy? social democracy is like that.
Yeah,
Social
yeah.
democracy. What mistakes has they made in the United States? You have mentioned Trump has won too. What is
Well-
happening with the social democracy? Where are they doing wrong?
There's nothing wrong with social democracy. What's going wrong is that people don't want social democracy anymore.
Why?
People vote against it. I don't know. Do you know? It's a mystery. Why? But then there are lots of mysteries. Why did the British people vote for Brexit? It's a disaster. Everybody is poorer in England today because of Brexit. But they voted for it. So this is a great mystery. If I ever figure it out, I'll write a book about it.
You said a couple of years ago that the world is no longer a safe place.
No.
Since then, war has broken out in Ukraine with the escalation, and also in the Middle East. Is that bringing us closer to World War III?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Both of those wars could escalate. And in the case of the Middle East, the danger is that Iran gets involved. We don't think that Iran has nuclear weapons yet, but it won't be long. They will have nuclear weapons one day. And then what happens? Israel has nuclear weapons. And then does the United States join in? This is very dangerous.
Do you think would you have time to live a third world war?
Would I live through it? No, I don't think so. I live near London. London's going to be a target.
In order to write triple, you had to do a lot of research on Israel's geostrategic intentions. What exactly do you think the Israeli government is looking for? What should European states do? Spain, for example, as you know, has recognized the Palestinian state.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a good decision or not. What do you think about that?
I think it's a good decision. And I think we have to stop selling guns to Israel. That's the only way to stop this war. You asked me, what does Israel want? Nobody knows. What are they achieving by killing all these people? It's not going to make them safe. If they kill everybody in Hamas, then the sons of all those men will grow up to hate Israel. If you're 10 years old and the Israelis kill your mother and father, when you're 20 years old, you'll want to kill Israelis. That's natural. That's how it happens in the Middle East. Every attack creates a reprisal, and it never ends. How old is Israel now? 1948, Israel was formed. So it's nearly 70 years old. And the wars have just got worse and worse. I don't see the end of it.
You were born in Cardiff, the capital of Wales, where there is a nationalist movement.
Yeah.
You have a statue in the Basque Country where nationalism is very strong. It is a metaphor for your trilogy of the 20th century, which prowls around nationalism to portray it as a destructive ideology. Is that so? What do you think of nationalism?
I think it's destructive today. In the 19th century, quite a lot of movements for freedom and democracy were nationalist movements in Europe. And so sometimes nationalism was creative in the 19th century, but not since. Let's talk about the difference between nationalism and patriotism. Patriotism is I love my country. Nationalism is my country is better than all the others. And so I think nationalism is destructive. Patriotism is fine. We love our country. We're happy to be Spanish or British or whatever, but we're not going around saying we are so great we should rule the world. We don't say that. That's okay. But nationalism, I think, is quite dangerous.
Tell me in one sentence what Spain is for you.
Spain has always been very generous to me.
You are only 25 years away from being able to call yourself the century. After all you have seen, do you have more faith in God or in men?
I have no faith in God. I don't have much faith in men.
Thank you very much for the conversation. You are definitely much better in person than in a statue, Mr. Follett.
More talkative.
Yeah.